Welcome to our pre-recorded on-demand webinar all about marketing debuts. So in this session, we are going to talk about what an apprenticeship is, what is marketing debuts and what can you expect from it, why should you apply and how you should apply, and benefits of the scheme, and also what we're looking for in that application process. So my name's Katie. I work at the Industry Club and I'm the recruitment lead for marketing debuts. So if you are going to apply, then you'll probably be seeing a lot more of me. And then throughout the programme as well, I also mentor our new learners. And I'm also joined by Betty, who is one of our apprentices on the scheme. Hey Betty, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Betty Ward. I'm doing the Creative Project Management apprenticeship scheme with Marketing Debuts, and I'm currently working as part of that as an apprentice operations exec at Havas Links in Manchester.
Cool, and we're going to be hearing a little bit more as well about what Betty gets up to in her role. But to kick off, first off, what is an apprenticeship? And why do we think it's such a good option to help you kickstart your career in the creative industry? So an apprenticeship allows you to both work and study at the same time and also earn money, which is obviously a massive perk. So as part of Marketing Debuts, we deliver a 13-month program where you will find yourself working in a marketing agency or in a brand's in-house marketing team, where you'll be able to learn on the job and put into practice what you're learning in your everyday job. It will be really busy, and as Betty I'm sure will say, you get thrown into the deep end, especially when you're agency side, but we're here to give you loads of support throughout it. So as a part of the apprenticeship, you will spend 1 day per week in workshops with us, where we will teach you things that are super relevant to what you will be doing in your day job. And honestly, I've completely lost track of what I was saying.
Also, you said 1 day a week, 1 day a month.
Honestly, as soon as I came on this slide, I thought, you know what, I really haven't practiced this enough.
It's all good.
Okay, right. So what is Marketing Debuts and what is an apprenticeship programme? So Marketing Debuts is an apprenticeship programme that is aimed at school leavers or people early on in their career who are looking to break into the creative industry. With Marketing Debuts, we have taken the recruitment and the training expertise from the Industry Club and combined that with our apprenticeship provider, the Opportunity Group, to develop Marketing Debuts. So the programme is 13 months long, and we will place you either in a creative agency or a brand's in-house marketing function, where you'll be able to learn on the job whilst also studying. And there's no lie here, you get thrown into the deep end and it is busy, but it's super exciting. And I'm sure Betty will agree when I say that it is really busy and you do get thrown in the deep end. But one of the great things about Marketing Debuts is that we are here to support you the whole way through, and you are showered with support and different people to connect with. So as part of the training, depending on the qualification that you study for, and I'll go through those a little bit later, but you will either achieve a level 3 or a level 4 qualification at the end of the program. And what those sessions will be, so you will have 1 day per month out of the office in these learning sessions, will be super relevant to what you will be doing in your job. So we don't just give you a textbook and we don't just give you some content to go and read online. We teach you stuff that is super relevant to what you will be doing, and it's taught by people who are in the industry, either having previously done the jobs that you're doing or maybe even currently still doing them, to make sure that what we're teaching you is super relevant and actually is going to help you excel in the role that you're doing, and really upskill you as well with relevant skills. And then the third part, I guess, of Marketing Debuts is all about the network that you build, because it is an industry where it kind of does rely on you having connections. When people say it's not what you do, it's who you know, it really is true. And obviously you have us as your network. I'm one of the mentors, as I said, but you'll also have each other. There'll also be a cohort of you on this scheme. You're not alone. So although we might be throwing you in the deep end, you know that there's always other people that you can chat with, people that you can turn to, people that you can go and maybe ask those silly questions that you don't want to keep asking me or your manager or whoever it may be. You'll also have your manager. You'll also have your team that you work with. Then you'll also have the trainers that will be teaching you, and they are industry experts. They are great people to network with. And then also throughout the program, we'll bring in other industry experts to lead on events so that, again, you get to understand more about the industry and network with more people. So I might be biased, but I think Marketing Debuts is a really nice all-rounded program to help you break into the marketing industry, gain work experience, get amazing training, build a great network, all whilst earning a really good salary, because let's not hide the fact that, especially if you are living in a major city like London or Manchester, it's always nice to actually be able to enjoy that city and be able to afford to live. So, I mean, Betty, you've been in your role for almost 3 months now. What would you say about apprenticeships?
Wow, I mean, it's hard to imagine that it's just been 3 months, and I think that is just a testament to how much I've learned so quickly. And I think, honestly, if it wasn't for things like this that make you stop and realise how short a period of time it's been, you just so quickly just get ingrained and just integrated into like a company's work culture, and with all the support. So you feel, I personally have felt that despite the fact that, you know, the times that we're living in, I've never actually met any of the people that I work with and any of the people, but I still feel like I'm part of this bigger community and part of this really great network, which is something that, having done traditional education, I've done 3 years of university to just try and study creative subjects. And I think each time there was just something that was missing for me. And I think I found that I loved being creative, and I was passionate about the industry. My background's in fashion, but there was just something about sitting there in a lecture hall talking about all the amazing things that were going on in the world, but just not being part of it. It just didn't make sense to me. And then I think the idea that you leave uni or you leave college and you're kind of just expected to know what you want to go and do, but how on earth are you meant to know that if you've got no experience? And then I think it's just definitely the thing that you said about you're being paid is a massive thing. I mean, especially from my experience in the fashion industry, it is terrible. The internship culture is so discriminatory in the fact that you're just expected to work for free and be really happy that you've got the experience. And, you know, it's really reliant on, can you afford to work for free for that long? Do you have places that you can stay? Whereas I think an apprenticeship, it gives you your independence. You're treated as an adult. You're taken seriously, at least in my experience in the agency that I'm in. The fact that they've decided to take on apprentices also just shows their commitment to learning and developing. Like, they can understand the importance of bringing new people in, bringing fresh ideas in, and they're willing to invest in you because they can see the value that you can add to the company. And I think it's one of the few places where I feel like education and training, learning and development is actually working for me and helping me figure out what my career is, rather than me trying to fit into a very rigid and structured mold, which I think for most people who are interested in communications, and all the people that I've met especially are super passionate. We have something to say. We might not know exactly what it is yet, but that passion and that drive is there. And this kind of just, it gives us context. And at each stage, it might just be a 5-minute conversation you have with the designer in your agency, but it might just spark a little thing in you. And you're like, oh, I didn't even know that was a job. Because not only are you obviously networking with all your mentors and you're really supported, and you've got all these people that are a similar age to you, not necessarily similar age to you, but within your cohort of your the people that you're doing the apprenticeship with on the program that you see every month. You're checking in, you're finding out what other agencies are doing, and you just have that inside look that you just would not have. You wouldn't have that interconnectedness if you just went into a job, because you might not necessarily know exactly what was going on. So I've definitely found it to be amazing. Like, I've weirdly never felt so connected to something whilst literally being sat in my bedroom. And I think that's just a testament to how it's all been set up, and the fact that it's very well intentioned. I think at every point of this process, everyone that you're working with is just there to help you do the best that you can, and it just is really reassuring, and it allows you to take risks, and you might speak up in certain meetings where usually you might be terrified with, because you know that you're in a safe space and that is encouraged. And I think that's just fab, really.
So the programs themselves. So Betty is currently on the creative project management course, but then we also have social media and community management. And we also have a digital marketer and a data technician course. So the project management and the social media courses are both level 4, and the other 2 are level 3. These have been taken from government standards to make sure that you do get a government approved qualification at the end of the programme, but then we've built on top of them to make them super relevant to the roles that you could be doing. And I mean, as Betty was just saying, kind of having that insight into what other people are doing in the agencies and understanding what different agencies do and what those roles may be, kind of just actually really demonstrates how many different roles these programs can fit in. So Betty herself is in an operations role on the project management course, but other people on the project management course are working in project management, as you would expect, but also in partnerships, in new business, in account management. There's so many different roles that these programs fit in, so you're not pigeonholed into just learning one skill set. But the great thing, I guess, about creative project management as a course is that it just teaches you a great foundation of skills to be able to lead on projects. And I mean, ultimately, whatever role you end up in later on in your career, you will always be managing projects. So they're amazing skills to have. But in your training sessions, you will look at the whole project life cycle and everything in between, understanding how to put together project timelines, working out how to kind of manage different groups of stakeholders, because there are so many different groups within the agency, let alone factoring in your external stakeholders as well. And some of those groups may be a little bit more difficult to manage than others, but we set you up for success and we teach you everything you need to be able to do that. Then we have the social media and community management course, which is all about helping you develop brands' social media presence and build brands' communities online. So everything from social media 101 up to data analytics, and everything in between. Obviously, social is something that is growing so quickly at the moment with no signs of really slowing down. And whatever area of marketing you work in, there's no escaping social media anymore, because obviously it's just, we all live with social media just in our lives all the time now. So again, it's a really great course because it will always be needed wherever you end up in your career within marketing. Digital marketing, although it's a level 3 and the same with data technician, they are still amazing courses and you still get so much out of them. The digital marketer course gives you a really, really good foundation of just digital marketing in general. So you'll cover email marketing, you'll cover copywriting, you'll cover digital branding, Google Analytics, coding. Honestly, there's so much into it, and it's just a really good base foundation of skills, depending on kind of, maybe you're not quite sure of what area you want to go into. Digital marketing in itself is huge, so it will give you lots of snippets, and then maybe at the end of the year you might decide to specialize in SEO or email marketing or e-commerce, whatever it may be. It will just give you a really, really good foundation. And then data technician, again, I guess like the world of social, we are living in a world that is very data driven now, and so it's a really kind of growing role, and there's a big growing need for data experts within the industry. So the data technician course will teach you everything about dealing with data. So sourcing that data, understanding that data, telling stories with that data, and helping influence business decisions or marketing kind of strategy, and how you then kind of present that data. And then obviously as well, all about data safety, GDPR, everything like that. So again, it's a really interesting skill set to have in a world that is becoming so data driven. But obviously, as we are joined by Betty, let's have a look and understand, I guess, a little bit more about what your role looks like as an operations exec, and also maybe tell us a little bit more about actually what your course involves and what you've learned so far.
So as an operations exec, I have to admit I had no idea what the role was when I went into it. And I think it's quite common, actually, and it's quite common for people in agencies even to not quite understand. It's a role that has come in quite recently. It's only been there for 5 years in Havas, where I'm working at the moment. And basically it's the person who, or group of people who sit at the heart of an agency and just facilitate everyone else to do their job to the best of the ability, and facilitates everyone else in the agency to do their jobs to the best of their abilities. And we deal with every single person in our agency. So me and my line manager, who before was the only ops person in our role, in our team, in a week we'll talk to the people handling accounts and talk to them about how they're dealing with their clients. We'll talk to the leadership of our particular agency about processes. We'll have weekly meetings with the whole agency. I have every day, I have a morning and evening check-in with the creative team to just make sure all the work that's been scheduled is ticking along nicely. Every month we'll talk to the finance team, and we can see how the projects the accounts team are bringing in, how they're ticking over, making sure they're all doing what they're meant to do, and if there's any disparities in overspending, then when it comes down to booking resource, which is at the heart really of our role, we can have a bit more of an idea about when people are negotiating for different time on the board. We can kind of see whether it has been estimated, just sort of sanity checking things. And we're often the voice of reason in what can sometimes be quite a hectic process, quite an emotional process, especially when it comes to things like pitches and awards that, you know, the creatives, that's their bread and butter. Like going for pitches, they want to, you know, win the best ideas. They want to do the most groundbreaking work, which I think is really inspiring to work with people like that. And as a creative person myself, it's really interesting. I can really empathize with that. But figuring out a structured and organized way to do it, to actually facilitate them to spend less time, say, emailing about briefs. And if things are all disorganized, they might log on in the morning and find that they're spending, you know, half an hour figuring out what they actually need to do in the day, rather than just being able to log on at 9:30, have a 15-minute chat with us, make sure they're all happy, and then bang out the work for the day. And then all the projects are moving smoothly, and it's like a well-oiled machine. But also just from every month, we have these really great sessions with Melissa, who runs our creative project management course. And she is so knowledgeable. When we all talk about our agencies and we're having these chats and we're discussing different processes, it's amazing the amount of time she was like, oh yeah, I remember, I designed that one. And we're just like, wait, what? And she's so down to earth, so lovely, but she just has a wealth of knowledge. And even a 5-minute chat with her about things, she can just so easily tell maybe where you're settling in, and you might mention that, oh, I'm not really sure about this, and she can just say, oh, check out this person, check out that person. And it's just having those little, someone or a group of people that can see what you're doing and contextualize your raw talent in a way that I think is really hard often to do for yourself, because we're not used to thinking, oh, I'm really good at this, this and this, that means I'd be good at this role, or I should talk to someone who's in that role and maybe learn a bit more about that. Whereas I think that's really what you're getting. It feels very, it makes it, for me, it just all makes sense. It's like what I learn once a month, I can then go to my job and I'll think about it, and I'll be in a meeting and I'm like, oh yeah, that's that. Oh yeah, that's that. It's not an uncomfortable fusing of two things together. I think it's a bit confusing initially because you've got loads of people who are there to help you, but that's a pretty good problem to have, to be honest, to have way too many people, rather than at uni where I've had times where I've had to wait months to talk to one tutor who, when I turn up, he doesn't even know what I study. Whereas I think having so many people that can always point you in the right direction and just give you that insight that is really, at the end of the day, the most important thing. Because you can be the most creative person in the world, but if you don't know what's out there, then you don't know what to do.
So nice as well to hear you say that as well, because I do think another thing that's really nice, and I hope it comes across from everybody that you meet through the process of marketing debuts, is that we are also generally invested in you doing well. Like, I look forward to my mentoring sessions with everyone because it's just so nice to have a catch up and see what you've done and how far you've come as well. And I do think it is really nice, like when I speak to your learning and development coaches as well, they have that same passion, and they do, everybody wants to get you to that endpoint assessment and you pass, and for you to have learned as much as possible, and for you to go on past the program and just excel in your career. And I think that's across the board. Everybody wants that, and everybody wants it for each other as well, which is really nice. So what are we looking for during our application process? So in a second, I will take you through what the application process is, and Betty will take you through what she did as part of her application. But I guess one of the key things with marketing debuts is that we want to break down some of the barriers of entry into the marketing industry. So as Betty touched upon at the beginning, so many people break into our industry by doing unpaid work experience. So many people break into our industry because they have a marketing degree. And it seems like there's a real set kind of, those barriers are set in place, and they can make it really, really hard that if you're not willing to work unpaid, because why should you? Or you decided that maybe university wasn't the right route for you, or lots of other reasons, why should those barriers be in place for you to not be able to get your foot in the door? So a key thing about marketing debuts is about breaking down some of those barriers and being able to give you that first step into the industry to then build your career. So we don't just look at the grades that you've got. We don't just look at where you've worked or what experience you have. What we look for, and the biggest thing through every part of our recruitment process, is understanding your passion and your motivation. We want to see genuine excitement for building a career in the creative industry, whether that be project management, digital marketing, data, or social. We just want to understand why you want to work in the industry. And kind of just the basic skills, which so many of us have, we just need to actually kind of bring them out of ourselves a bit more. So great communication skills, great time management skills, a good work ethic, and just a genuine passion to want to learn more. So the recruitment process is aimed to kind of help draw those things out of you. So we ask for a CV and a cover letter. But the key thing that we really look at is the task that we set you, because that's how we understand your passions and your motivation and your creativity and your way of thinking. So we keep the task quite broad on purpose because we want to see your approach to a brief. And there is no right or wrong way to deliver your task. Some people have done video tasks like Betty did, which she'll talk through. Some people did written pieces. Some people did animated cartoon videos. However you want to submit it is absolutely fine. But what we ask you to do is think about a brand that you really like. And it's something that brand has done on social media that you think is really, really good. And then talk about that in a little bit more detail. So when I say a little bit more detail, again, on purpose, we keep it really broad because we want to see what springs to mind when you look at a social campaign and when you start to analyse it. But Betty's just going to take you through her campaign and what she did and how she broke that down into an amazing task that has obviously helped you get to where you are now.
Thanks. So the brand that I decided to focus on was Hey Girls UK, and they are a social enterprise set up with the aim of ending period poverty. So they sell sustainable and ethically sourced sanitary products, and they have a buy one give one model. So for every box or product sold, they donate one to women's shelters or people in need. And they also do a lot of activism on their website, and they started hashtags such as period art to kind of encourage conversations, regular conversations about this taboo subject that affects nearly half of the population for most of their life, which kind of just seems insane. And the reason that I chose this brand was because I just was kind of blown away when I first came across them a few years ago by the fact that it kind of shocked me. And it was something, even as someone who is really passionate about activism and rights like that, I just never really had seen social media be used in a way that was dealing with serious issues, but in a way that was funny. It wasn't, they're not all about shock value, and they're not all about, you know, hitting you with really depressing hard facts, because, you know, I think we all try and stay as informed as we possibly can, but there are more interesting ways of doing that and getting that message across. So one of the aspects, as I touched upon, the sort of period art element, is on their page they share just, you know, funny memes, you know, something as simple as that. Like, funny memes about periods doesn't seem like it's going to be something revolutionary, but it's just, you know, they're creating content that people want to share with their friends, that you want to screenshot it and put it in your WhatsApp chat, or you just see it and you think, oh yeah, that's a bit of me. And that connection between a company and someone on Instagram, that's all it takes, that little moment of, oh, and a kind of a realization that there is more to be behind a brand than just the packaging or just the actual product itself, but just kind of looking at the potential product, like what can it potentially be. So this idea of, yeah, using art as activism is something that I really enjoyed. And then on the right here is a mock-up that I created a few years ago. It wasn't specifically for this task, but something that I've included because it's something that I've done previously. I dabble in mixed media art, and so this is a collage that I made as an example of if I was to submit work for them, or the type of things that they've included. So obviously it's including sanitary products, but using models. I think they were used in a perfume advert or something where they always look ridiculously happy for no reason. So just, you know, shifting that on its head and thinking about how that could be incorporated in their campaign. And yeah, that's just one of the reasons that I just really like this brand, and that's why I chose it. And I think my advice would be, when you're doing this task, you think about branding and you think about social media. And I think maybe I thought definitely initially my key instincts was like, okay, what do they want from me? Is it like, do I need to be choosing the most successful brand? Or I don't want to be too obvious, but the thing that's most important is like why you've chosen it. Why is it something, like if you were to go on Instagram or whatever social media platform, what are the things that you're saving? What are the things that you're liking? And just, you already have those habits, because we all interact with brands consciously or unconsciously on a daily basis, and they affect how, you know, what are the things that you're sharing with your friends, and just kind of noticing that behavior, and then just actually just taking a second to realize, oh, okay, why have I done this? And it could be something as simple as that it's a really aesthetic color palette and it's really beautiful to follow, or they have really engaging content, or it's really funny, or it's really thought-provoking, or whatever it is that you care about, that brand provides you as a consumer. And then kind of just looking a little bit further as to, okay, how have they made me feel like this? Or why are they making me feel like this? Why would they want to make me feel like this? And yeah, just kind of sitting with yourself and with that idea for a bit. And then when it came to presenting it, I put a really quick Google Slides document all together, and I filmed myself chatting through it, because as you can probably tell, I like a chat. Not very good at being concise with my words, which is great because I'm in a role now where I basically chat to people all day long. Ideal. So rather than writing it all down, which I think I would have just gotten myself nuts with, I went on Zoom, I started a meeting, launched it, and didn't invite anyone else to it, shared my screen, presented it, filmed it, screen recorded. That was it. It was so simple. It took me maybe, after like the actual process of putting it all together, took me maybe an hour. But the thing that really counts, which took me a little bit longer, was just sitting there and thinking about why I liked it. And I think, yeah, if you're going to spend time on something, make it that. I'm a perfectionist. I could have easily spent ages putting together a really swish film or something. And if that's your thing, that's your thing, that's fine. But I think what the guys are really looking for is just to show you and to show why you like certain things, and things that might just be really obvious to you. Like if you're, I don't know, like if you're really into sport or something, and you might think, well, obviously I like that brand because that's just who I am. Well, tell them that, because that's what they want to know. Like it might be really obvious to you, and maybe even ask other people. I, you know, chatted to my friends about stuff. I chatted to my friends about this, and, you know, speak to people who know you really well, or just like look in your wardrobe, or look at the things that you buy, and just kind of just have that extra question, why are you doing it? And that'll slowly kind of spark a little bit of an idea that will hopefully make you see things in a different way.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head as well with it being about you, because I remember actually, I mean, obviously this was months ago now, you submitted your task to us, but I remember it because it was something different. It wasn't one of the biggest mainstream brands. Like we get so many applications around McDonald's and Brewdog and the expected ones, I guess. And it was really nice to actually also be taught something. It was a brand that I didn't know about. Like Betty educated me on what they did and about their social channels. And it made me feel like in kind of that 10-minute presentation that I got to know Betty, which then also meant that I remembered Betty later on during the recruitment process. And so I think when we talk about top tips for things to consider, I really do think showing your personality is a really, really key thing. And again, it's something that we use later on down the line when it comes to us matching you with agencies. I mean, Betty's in a healthcare agency at the moment, which I think is probably quite a good fit with some of the stuff that you looked at in there. And so showing us your personality hopefully will also allow us to place you somewhere that you are generally going to be interested in the sorts of work that you are doing. And I would really think about as well, like thinking outside the box. Like I said, don't go for the standard campaigns that you think everyone will go for just because they're the biggest and the best. Think about actually sometimes some people picked campaigns that didn't go so well, which you can still like, but it also gives you another angle to talk about because there are loads of recommendations that you can make about what maybe that brand could have done better. But I think key things, show your personality, try and think outside the box, obviously actually complete the task as well, that's a pretty big one, and be creative. And that creativity can come in any way you like. It doesn't have to be in a video, it can be, like I say, in a written piece. Some of the best applications we had came in more of an essay form, but again, the videos are a great way for you to get remembered and stand out. So there really is no wrong way to do this, but I think also use the task as an opportunity to share why you want to work in the creative industry and why it's of interest. I think we're running out of time, Betty, but really quickly, have you got any top tips if you could rewind 8 months, what you wish you'd known?
I think if I could rewind 8 months, it would be to actually search about marketing agencies, like actually have a Google of that. Because when I went into my interview, I spent the whole morning Googling about, okay, top 10 interview questions that you might ask, how to present really well in an interview. And then one of the first questions that I got in one of the interviews was, what marketing agencies do you like? Didn't even think to look that up. I would look that up, have a look, because, you know, we always see the adverts, we always see the output, but we don't often, as people who aren't in the industry, look at the input. And actually that could be a really great place to kind of start looking at those connections of who's made the things that you like, and that could spark some inspiration as well. But yeah, just have fun with it, don't take yourself too seriously, be yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that flows on really nicely actually to the next bit about what the next steps are. So obviously submitting your application is the first step. We would love to have those applications by the 1st of April, and you can email them directly to me, and remember to be creative. But the steps after that, obviously all going well with your application, is an initial interview with me, and it's not overly formal. I don't know if you remember our first chat, Betty, but it's not daunting, it's not super formal. I'm not going to throw loads of questions at you that you don't know. I just want to get to know you, and I want to understand your understanding of the marketing industry. So one of the first questions is, what do you know about marketing agencies? Do you even know what a marketing agency is? Because I graduated from university from marketing and I had no idea what a marketing agency is, which I just find absolutely ridiculous that I can study marketing for 4 years and not have any idea. But I hope that puts you all at ease, knowing that I don't expect you to say, yes, it's blah, blah, blah. You can say no, but it's a chance for me to tell you more about the industry and what you can expect from it, and a chance just for me to get to know you and your motivations. That's what I want to see. I want to understand why you want to work in the industry and why you're interested in social media or advertising or whatever it is. From there, there'll then be an assessment centre, which will include an opportunity for you to present your task back to us, and a bit more of a formal interview. From there as well, you will then hopefully be matched with agencies and you'll have a final interview with your prospective employer. I think a really key point through all of this is that the support starts from the beginning. So before you have your formal interview in your assessment centre, you'll be given loads of resources to read through to help you prepare, make sure you know what you're expecting. We don't want to scare you. We want to just see you comfortable and enjoying the process. And then again, before you meet with prospective employers, we will have a feedback session where I'll take you through kind of what I think from our previous interviews that maybe you can improve on, give you top tips, and make sure you are as clued up about the people that you're about to meet and potentially work for as possible. And then the ideal solution is that you get a job offer and you join the scheme in June and get to begin working in an agency. So I really hope that has been useful. If you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email, and I'm sure Betty won't mind if you bombard her with a few questions either. But yeah, I hope that's been really useful and I can't wait to see your applications.